Hey guys, it's Big G Money Investments and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to talk to you about stockholder rights. So rights in general are a very important thing. Think about the US Constitution. If you live in the United States, you have certain rights such as inalienable rights such as property ownership, free speech, etc. The same thing kind of applies to stocks and property ownership here. So when you buy a stock, you're essentially buying rights and a deed to the ownership of the company as well, and certain other extra packages that go into owning the property of the stock. So for this video, I'm gonna keep it to common shareholder rights. So if you have private equity rights and you have more rights as a board director or somebody who owns a lot of stocks like an institution, this video kind of applies to you, but right now in this video, I'm gonna talk about rights for common shareholders. So the first important right as a shareholder is you have, number one, the right to vote. So similar in the US Constitution, if you're a citizen, you have the right to vote upon becoming mature at a certain age to vote. So it's the same thing as a stockholder. If you're legally allowed to own the stock, you own it. You own, for example, 800 shares of Tesla or NEO, for example. As a common shareholder, you will be issued and given certain emails and documents upon certain things, like if the stock's going to merge with another company. So if you own one of these companies, they'll usually, if they have a major important decision upon policy or a business decision of the stock company, you'll have the right to vote for common shareholder rights, to vote upon the election of a board member, a certain policies, etc. So number one is shareholder rights to vote. So number two on the list is ownership of the stock. Obviously, that sounds very easy and simplistic, but if you think about a stock, the word equity, stock equity comes to your mind. So with a stock equity, you have the right to your property. So with equity, you have the right to buy the stock, and then you have rights when you own the stock. For example, when you own a car, you have certain rights there as well. And then you have certain rights to transfer ownership of the stock, which I'll allude to later in the video. And then you have rights that you can sell, and you have certain rights that you have liberties to when you own the stock. So number three, I just alluded to it, is the stock right to transfer ownership. So this is really easy. Think about like your grandparents or your parents. If they love you and you're lucky enough to have a good relationship with them, then you will be, for example, in their will. So in a will, you transfer deed to property. So in the same thing with stocks, you can transfer ownership of stocks for a friend and other legally entitled entities such as a friend, a spouse member, a college tuition, a trust, and even to heirs when you die or when you want to pass on. For example, my friend recently had money transferred to him from his grandfather who passed away, God bless his soul, and he was able to transfer ownership as a right to his heirs, which is a basic common, 101 principle of stock ownership, that you can transfer rights to somebody else or another company or entity. So number four on the list is the right to dividends. So dividends, AKA, is essentially distribution of profits and earnings of a set amount to investors. So dividends is basically income. So if AT&T, for example, has a dividend rate, which I don't know off the top of my head, if they have that and they say, hey, we'll pay you 2 times a year, semi-annually, this dividend for your proportionate investments in the stock, they will legally have to pay you that dividend. If the company pays dividends, definitely you have a right to that. But if they don't pay dividends, then they don't have the right to pay you that. So always look in the white papers, in the fine print, when you're looking for dividends and how they'll pay you out your income. So number five on the list is the right to inspect corporate documents. So when you buy a car, you want to look at the fine manual of the car. You want to see all about the car. For example, you buy a new Ferrari, if you're fortunate to, or in the future, of course. You look at the Ferrari, you look at the specifications, the provenance of ownership, you look at the whole manual, you look at the APR, you look at everything. Like when you buy something, you want to know what you're buying. And most importantly, you want to look for what is corporate earnings and the current revenue and decisions of the company. So you want to see if the company is in good standing. You want to do kind of an overview of the company, and you want to be, privy to what's happening with the company. So number 6 on the list, it's not as sexy and as pretty as the other things. So number 6 on the list is the right to sue for unlawful and illegal and bad decisions made by the company that affect you as the owner and investor. For example, if there was recently, a few months ago, there was a scandal with Nikola, the electric vehicle company, and there was a scandal around whether they publicly manipulated a video of the car moving down a hill, and that was subject to a lot of lawsuits, and a lot of angry investors were very, upset about losing money, and a lot of people sued. So the cool and bad thing about this is everybody can sue each other in the United States. It's kind of a common law and statutory mix of, hey, something bad happens, you can sue somebody, etc. It's good and bad, but for clarity purposes here, as a stock investor in the United States and common shares, you have the right to sue and file a class action lawsuit if there's illegal and bad behavior that affects you and your ownership of the stock. So other tips and other rights that you're entitled to as an investor. So going off dividends is the fact that companies can pay you, if they're stating that you can pay you in dividends, there's different forms of dividends that I want to point out that they can pay you in. They can pay you in more dividends of their company, for example. So if Apple splits or they want to add more dividends or increase it, they can pay you more dividends at a higher rate. Another example of what they can do is give you stock ownership in another company. And another option is to pay cash money, all our favorites, cash money to investors for their dividend share. So another very important thing, a little thing I wanted to point out to you guys is taxation of dividends. So the general rule is this may change according to administration and different policies. So right now, dividends for ordinary income owners, which is at a certain tax bracket, please check your tax bracket before you file your taxes. So that the tax bracket for ordinary income investors is at 15%. So if you make a certain threshold of money, your taxation might be higher. But for clarity purposes here, this could change, but the dividend taxation rate is around 15%, just to make that clear. So if you make a big investment in dividends or a big company, you want to know what taxation rate you're going to pay taxes on. And this is just a very common thing you need to pay attention to when you're investing. So if you're feeling inspired by this video to get started investing, invest in Webull and deposit $100 or more and get up to 2 free stocks up to $1,600. So I love Webull personally. You get to see the whole charts. You have early trading hours that you're entitled to. And I just love the fact that you get free stocks for signing up. I'm all about free money and making as much money as you can. There's so much wealth out there. So if you want to get that free stock, hit the link below, deposit $100 and get your free stocks. If not, totally cool. Keep enjoying the video, and yeah, let's continue with this video. So that's going to wrap up my video on stock shareholder rights. So it's not the most glamorous subject matter, but it's very important to know your rights as an investor and in general. This will really help you out as you move forward as an investor and in general in life. So when in doubt, always research, always Google things. I'm going to link below a link to Investopedia with basic rights as a shareholder that you can read about and kind of process by yourself. But if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. And also please, importantly, smash that like button. It helps me grow my channel and really help you guys learn about investments. I'm currently getting my Series 7 certification in my SIE, so I'm really learning about the principles about stocks, the actual facts, and I want to share with you guys that. So feel free to message me anytime on Instagram. Please subscribe. I hope you enjoy this video and learn something, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.